Do you miss me, Keith? Do you miss not being around me?
This isn't the 3rd grade anymore.
She doesn't love you. It's a joke. It's all a joke.
How do you know?
I'd bet my hands on it.
You don't want to make that bet.
Yeah, I do. I've been thinking a lot lately about you and me. And I came to a conclusion that I didn't want to deal with. But now that we talked, I can't hide it anymore. I think we'd get along much better if we didn't spend so much time together anymore.
Why?
Because I'm driving you crazy, and you're driving me crazy. And I'd rather not see you and have you think good things about me than have you see me and hate me. Because I can't afford to have you hate me, Keith. The only things I care about in this damn life are me and my drums and you. Adios.
Wait, Watts. Watts!
So, Rose, just so you know, we have Cheryl to blame for bringing Scott into our lives.
Oh, really?
You know Scott.
Scott's our regular co-host on this thing.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah. Scott is my husband's cousin.
Nice.
Yeah. So I kind of hooked him up with Dave. Like, I got a guy for you. You got to talk to him.
We appreciate it. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he really is.
Other than when he's sharing bad movies with us.
Oh, yeah, he has a penchant for sharing really horrible movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just don't want to know.
Oh, I was going to ask, but maybe I won't. I take no responsibility for that.
Yeah, there's this movie that he sent over to Rose and then sent over to me called The Forbidden Zone. And our homework was to watch it and then, come back on the podcast and talk about it.
He tried to make me watch that too.
Yeah, so you got out of it. How did you do that?
Well, I'm having flashbacks now. When you said that title, I'm like, wait a minute. I know I saw some freaky movie and I did not watch the whole thing by any means. I think I turned it off within 10 minutes. Yeah, that's so crazy. You must make everyone watch that.
Yeah, it must be some kind of initiation thing or something.
To be his friend, yeah.
Yeah. Can't be in
well,
his
we all
gang.
failed. We all must have failed.
Yeah. Well, I actually
barreled
watched the
through
whole
it.
thing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you did? You sat through it all?
It was hysterical. Just the idiocy, if that's even a word, idiocy of the whole movie itself was just too laughable for words.
What was it called again? Forbidden Planet?
Forbidden Zone.
Yeah, Forbidden Zone.
Forbidden Zone. All right, I'm going to have to remind him about that.
Yeah, it is horrible on so many levels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't get past the beginning. Right.
But it made for an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
I bet
and we
it
turned
did.
it into a podcast, so that was cool.
And is that an 80s movie? Was that
Yeah,
in the 80s?
it's bang on 1980s. Like
Really?
1980. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, leave it to Scott to pull that out of the air.
It tastes like the holiday special. You got to wonder about the guy. The Star Wars holiday special. So.
The Star Wars holiday special?
Yeah, that's another one of his favorites.
Yeah, he watches that every year.
I don't even think I knew there was one.
Yeah, Life Day. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the
Life
holiday
Day.
that they celebrate?
Yeah,
It's the Wookiees.
It's
all about the Wookiees.
Yeah, the Wookiee celebration for around, I guess, similar to Christmas. They call it Life Day. And I just do not want to make it sound like I even condone watching that thing. So it's...
Well, that has me more intrigued than the Forbidden Zone.
Yeah, actually, if you want to see Carrie Fisher sing, that's a good one for that.
I would be interested in that. So there you go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to look it up.
Beautiful boy.
I'd recommend some adult beverages before watching, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Duly noted. Hey, Dave, I'm sitting on a trampoline right now.
Perfect.
Nice.
I'm broadcasting live from the trampoline again.
From the trampoline. Not just a trampoline, but the trampoline.
It is the only place where I have privacy in my whole house.
Wow.
Yeah, Rose, what you may not, I don't know if you listened to the episode or not, but there was one that when I was over at Cheryl's house, we recorded, and it was 80's Movies Ladies Night. And
okay.
we ended up on that trampoline, so there was there was 4 of us on this kid's trampoline in her basement. You know, after we've had a few adult beverages, just talking 80's movies. It was just great.
It's like a little tight trampoline.
Oh my gosh. Does it have the big sides that go up so
with
the kids
sides.
don't fall out?
Yeah, yeah. So it comfortably seated for adults, I must say. You know, got to bounce a little.
You were broadcasting in the round. That's awesome.
Yes.
Well,
I like her already.
Outside, but there was just too much background noise.
Yeah.
Well, didn't it start to rain too outside?
Yeah. We ended up starting and stopping that thing like 3 times. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, trampoline much better.
All right, so you guys ready to jump into the topic?
Yeah.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready? Prepare for blast-off.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Remember, no matter where you go, there you are.
This is 80's Reboot Overdrive Podcast.
We were dancing just like Swayze when Jennifer Grey had a nose. Oh, how I miss the 80s. But I'm too young to really know. Too young to know.
Oh my god. That is like so dated.
All right, this is 80's Reboot Overdrive, and I am Dave. Online, I have got 80's music girl Rose
Hello, everybody.
and Cheryl.
Hey, everyone.
That's right, I didn't have a snazzy title for you, Cheryl, but I don't think you're on Twitter, so that's usually
That's okay.
the
Yeah, I like to be anonymous.
anonymous.
Or Twitter.
Fair. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
anonymous Cheryl. Occasional guest.
So what we're doing tonight is we have this collaboration that we do with a lot of other bloggers and podcasters, and when we decide to talk about the same topic. This is actually the 4th time doing this type of thing with them. We're calling ourselves the 80's League. So this is the topic is 80's crushes. And what we do with our collaboration is that all of us will post our content on the same week, and then we link everything together so that if you're able to get into the blog, you click into one of our articles, you'll be able to link through to all the other, or get into the other articles. Our participants that play along with us, that are part of this 80's League, is Rediscover the 80's. You can find them on Twitter at RD80S. Another person that participates is Weegie Midget.wordpress.com. On Twitter, she's real Weegie Midget. KillerKitsch.wordpress.com. You can find him at killer_Kitsch, KITSCH. And then we also have returntothe80s.wordpress.com. You can find them on Twitter at returntothe80s. And then our Rose, who's 80s Music Girl on Twitter, also takes care of our blog, which is southgatemediagroup.com/80s Reboot blog. So those are all of our participants for our 80s League. Once again, we're going to be doing 80s crushes as our topic for February. We're trying to do this thing monthly, so that was this big, long setup. What I wanted to do was Scott decided that he's going to go on vacation and have some sort of real life type thing and not podcast with us tonight. So shame on him, and we replaced him with somebody that's way cooler, and that's Cheryl.
Yep.
Woohoo! Didn't know I was replacing Scott tonight. Wow. Honored.
and by design. The other reason is that usually poor Rose has to deal with, just the two geeky boys talking about, the nomenclature we use is ampleness when we're talking about big boobs. And so she's got to deal with us being just, the geeky young boys that we are, and like hee 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 ha ha ha, and talking about, like Phoebe Cates and, the likes of Kelly LeBrock.
And
all those, talking about through all them. And, the female perspective doesn't really come out a lot. I mean, it does to some degree, but not prevalent. And I thought it'd be fun for the guy perspective to be a minority on this topic.
Nice.
So that's
yay.
So that's really
go girls.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I think it's going to give us a nice, fresh perspective this month on this collaboration topic.
Okay, I like it.
I like it that it's today, because if you're familiar with our holiday coming up tomorrow, we ladies have a special holiday today as well. So, Cheryl, happy Galentine's Day.
Thank you. And same to you, Rose.
Thank you.
Galentine? I'm not familiar with.
No, because you're not a girl.
Well, okay.
I have to say, Rose, I haven't heard of that either. That's so cute. Galentine.
I think it was Series 6 of Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
Amy Peller's character did this whole thing about women having their own holiday before Valentine's Day, and they called it Galentine's Day.
That's super cute. I wish I would have known about that.
Celebrating ladies.
Man, I missed it. I have to wait another 364 days.
So I just, thought it was really apropos to be able to outnumber Dave on this, our festivus Valentine's Day.
Dave, you don't mind. You're a good sport, right?
Oh, of course.
Yes, he's a very good sport.
The stories that end up being shared, I just really enjoy listening. So I'm really curious to see what your picks are going to be. Just for our listeners' sake, what typical to our regular format, I sent a message to both of these ladies and said, asking, are we going to be following our regular format, which is essentially our top three to talk about. I know Rose said you had more than three, so you have some honorable mentions.
Yeah, I totally have honorable mentions.
Okay, and then so Cheryl, do you have three in mind already?
I have like two strong contenders with like a list of honorable mentions that come after that. Is what I have. Okay. But I can come up with three probably. Okay. I'll come up with a third.
All right, well, we're starting with you, so go ahead and give us your first one.
All right, here goes. So, my first one, drum roll, is none other than Michael J. Fox. Oh my gosh.
Really awesome. He's on my list.
I was so in love with him. You know, Family Ties, you know, is how I first became introduced to Michael. He's hysterical on that show. Just, I found him to be funny, but like nerdy. I mean, he was, you know, Michael P. Keaton. I mean, or Alex P. Keaton. And he was just kind of, you know, a nerdy guy. I thought he was hilarious, but I didn't think he was super attractive. But then I saw Back to the Future. And oh my gosh, I remember this one scene in the beginning. I think he's like hooking up his microphone to an amp or something, and then it kind of blew his speakers out, and his whole body just kind of blew across the room. And then he had these cool sunglasses on, and then he like takes them off, and he goes, "Whoa!" And his hair was like feathered back just perfectly.
Yeah.
Had that denim jacket on. I was like, he's hot. So he became my first love, and then. And this is a story, Dave, I might have shared with you before, but he actually filmed a scene from a movie where I grew up, and I kind of saw him filming a movie when I was a kid. It was weird. It was like all these kids on the street all of a sudden like, Michael J. Fox is down by the convenience store. and I grew up in this random little suburb of Chicago where nothing ever happens, and we all just like flew over there, rode our bikes over. There was like a bar over there, and he was filming a scene to that movie, Light of Day, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Oh,
John McConnor, Light of Day. Yeah, that one. And so I just saw him like run out of the, you know, bar into his limo and pull up, and he like waved to me. I'm pretty sure it was me as he was leaving. I'm sure it was me. And that was it. That sealed the deal for me. I was love. It was just love at first sight. And I had his face plastered all over my walls, and a wallet-sized picture of him in my wallet. And, you know, I called him my boyfriend. And so, yeah. Michael J. Fox. He was my guy for a long time.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
He looked a little differently in Light of Day. I mean, he had kind of longer hair going on, if I remember that movie right, too. You know, because he was a rocker dude.
Yeah. I wasn't as huge of a fan of that movie. I mean, that was a departure for him, for sure. But there's just something about, you know, when you've had a crush on someone for so long and then you see them in person. Like, I think that might have been the first celebrity that I've actually seen, or at least a celebrity that I cared about. You know, someone other than, like, a Bears player or something, you know. Yeah. You know, Bears player at a, you know, auto dealership or something like this was like, wow, this is a movie star, you know, in my backyard. So, yeah. But, yeah, you're right. That movie was, it wasn't a typical, you know, Michael J. Fox, Teen Wolf kind of a role.
Right.
Sure.
I always liked him in Secret of My Success.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, that was a good one, too.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one he did.
Really?
I still watch that movie to this day.
I haven't seen that.
Really
actually,
good pairing with him and I can't think of her name right now. I'm not looking at IMDb, but
Supergirl.
Yeah,
Helen Slater or something.
Thank you, Helen Slater.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, because she was so hysterical in Ruthless People, and then she goes and she does this role where she's kind of stuck up and she's all smart and everything, doesn't associate with people. And,
right. I'll have to go back and watch
he's
that.
just so sorry. He's just so trying to get her attention. It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's such a great movie. I don't care if it is corny. It's so funny.
You know,
yeah, for me it was Back to the Future and Teen Wolf. Those are my two big Michael J. Fox movies.
Yeah.
I think whatever character he plays, he's kind of relatable, you know, in all those different roles. I mean, you know, no matter, you know, if he's the Alex P. Keaton or, you know, Marty McFly or, you know, Teen Wolf, you know, there's just something where it's like, yeah, I could see me hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like an everyman, you know.
Right.
Just kind of like things don't always necessarily go his way. He's like the underdog you're rooting for.
Definitely.
Now,
and a cute one.
Cute. So the he doesn't like, have by the definition of like the hunky type, right? He's not your Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger body type.
No, I mean, he wasn't.
He was adorable.
Yeah. I don't think I ever really necessarily, especially when I was that age, I don't think I was into the big beefy type. I mean, for me, I was probably in 5th grade at the time that that was the height of my Michael J. Fox crush. So I was more into, I mean, he seemed more like, like he could be my age almost. I could almost be his age, rather.
Yeah. He had a very definite boy next door kind of feel.
Boy next door, exactly. But he was all over those teen magazines. I mean, Tiger Beat, Bop, all those magazines that I used to get. There was a pinup of Michael J. Fox in every single one.
Yeah.
And they were all on my wall.
Sweet.
All right, so next pick goes to Rose.
Yay! Well, I guess you're probably going to know where I'm. Now, see, I love your story, Cheryl, about actually seeing somebody that you had a crush on in real life, because I'm looking forward to that this summer. Because
I know where you're going with this.
My first pick is Andrew McCarthy. I absolutely
you met him? You saw him?
love and adore him so much. He's a big, huge crush. When I was younger, considerably, and I'd watch the very first movie I ever saw him in was a made-for-TV movie called The Vinegar Gang, and he was in charge of like all these orphans and everything, and the story was very poignant, and heartfelt, and he's with all these kids and they're trying to con their way into getting a place to live and food, and and it was just so heartwarming, to see him. And he was such a con artist, but he had to learn how to be that way. So whenever I see somebody like that, I know that there's a heart behind all that, and they're just doing what they've got to do to make it day to day. But he was just very kind of what the British would call, I guess, moppish, because he always had the long hair in his face, and he's just kind of like, oh well, good of a person. But then he got sexy. So it was a brief time that he got like, well, actually, no, Pretty in Pink, he was pretty sexy in Pretty in Pink. And then Mannequin, it's a toss-up between Pretty in Pink, Mannequin, and there was one other one that he was in I didn't really care for. St. Elmo's Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like him in that for some reason. Heaven Help Us, that was another one that kind of missed. But
Heaven Help Us, I don't think I've seen that one.
Weekend at Bernie's is one of those more odd choices for. But he was so funny in that. He's such an amazing sense of humor. Yeah, it's just one of those things where he's just like, he's in the room and Jason Silverman is trying to tell him that something's going on, and he comes running out and he's pulling his pants up. They just give me 5 minutes. Really, that's all you need is 5 minutes, huh? But it's just that he was just so athletic and just all over the place. He was just everywhere. And then that New York accent, he's actually from New York, but to have that level, that accent was just really carrying him through the whole movie. It was just
that's a good pick. That's someone that I never would have thought of, but when you mentioned those movies, I mean, it just takes me back to like Pretty in Pink and Mannequin, and like, oh my gosh, he was a total heartthrob. I mean, his name wouldn't have come to mind, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, he just, always seemed like just such a sweet, like a tender kind of guy.
Yeah, and he's aloof too. He carries that aloofness with him throughout his movies, I think, because he's kind of like that a bit in real life. I've spoken to him a couple times on Twitter, and
really?
I actually have a book that he wrote. It's a travel book. He writes for travel magazines now.
Wow.
Not so much instead of acting, but he travels a lot and he writes books and articles from travel magazines. He actually wrote this book, and I entered a contest, and I think I was probably the only one. I won a copy of the book.
You won, huh?
You were the horrible one. Sorry, Andrew. Unless you really intended to send that to me. But it was so I think when he probably the actors and the actresses do that, if they have to pre-sign something, they're just going to write their name and then that's considered their autograph, which it is. But this summer, I personally hand him the book and go, now you can autograph it just to me. Or else. No, I'm kidding. That's my first one.
And
that's a good one.
I really liked him in Class, which was like really early on in the 80s. But to me, I think a definitive role for him was Less Than Zero.
Or Less Than Zero, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Less Than Zero. Yeah.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one to watch.
Oh yeah, it's a tough movie to
Kind
watch.
of used
But
to him
I mean,
being so nice and polite and everything, and then it's like, oh my God, he's swearing.
Naughty boy.
Yeah. So.
Now, why didn't you like St. Elmo's Fire? His role in that.
I'm not really sure. I tried watching it several times. It just, I guess this is my reason and I'm sticking with it. It had so many people in it that I'd used to seeing in other movies. And now they're all together. And not that wasn't amazing, but sometimes you just can't put that many high profile people in a movie and expect it to go off well.
Yeah.
When you do the whole ensemble, sometimes that works. Sometimes it works with certain characters, like Christopher Guest. His movies, they always have the same ensemble, like the Second City people, and they're always really funny. And then you get, of course, Mel Brooks and people like that, directors that like to always use cast. But I don't know. I just really felt like there was a lot of confusion in that movie. It didn't really hold my attention.
Okay. I liked the movie, but it wasn't my favorite role for him.
Yeah.
I think I was annoyed by his obsession with Andy, what's her name? McDowell?
Oh, you're talking about
Emilio. Fire.
Emilio Estevez had didn't he have the obsession?
Yeah, Emilio Estevez had the obsession with Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Then I'm totally confused. Oh,
no.
Really? I thought it was him. Then what character was he in St. Elmo's Fire?
He was the writer, and he
Kevin
was obsessed with...
Oh, yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're
right. I did confuse them. I think I confused them, too, with...
He was obsessed with Ali Sheedy in
Breakfast
that
Club. I think I confused those two actors. Aren't they one and the same? Have they ever been in the same room together?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do the Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson thing. Has anybody ever seen these two people together?
They're just blending in.
Well, apparently we did. They made a movie together.
But yeah, his character in St. Elmo's Fire, though, of those cast of characters, that's the one that I related to the most.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
Okay. Yeah, was he like the kind of withdrawn, kind of dark guy, like he was a writer or something, or just kind of kept to himself a little bit?
Yeah, exactly.
In St. Elmo's Fire?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone else was more outgoing than he was. He was just kind of a tag along, kind of the observer.
And then he
of the
confessed that he was in love with somebody.
Ali Sheedy's character.
Yeah, Ali Sheedy's character. I don't think I've seen that movie in 10 years.
I can tell you last time I saw it, it was probably in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
No need to revisit it, huh?
No, I had no desire to whatsoever.
Oh well, fair enough.
Yes.
All right, so I guess we're on my first pick.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that listen to the show quite a bit, this one's not going to be a big surprise. And starting at the end of the 70s and going into the early 80s, I had a uber crush on Miss Christy McNichol.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, and we've talked about it quite a bit, probably at length on the podcast, and trying to understand kind of what it is about her. And it was just a lot of reasons that you guys were explaining about how, like Michael J. Fox or Andrew McCarthy, it's not like she was an uber babe, but she had this girl next door quality about her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just she felt like that kind of person that if she lived down the street from you, you'd be able to just hang and have a good time with her.
Right.
And so for me, that was what Christy McNichol did. Through the early 80s, and every so often she'd show up on one of those Battle of the TV Network Stars or whatever, and you get to see her, competing with the other, people that were on, like Catherine Bach from Dukes of Hazzard and things like that, and they would be like, doing those different competitions, and you get to see her be athletic and go, wow, look at that. She's, not only an actress, but she's got some sporto talent there, and make me love her even more. But then, and then she goes in to do this movie called Little Darlings, and that just kind of really, blew my young brain as far as like, what Christy McNichol was all about. And then later on in the 80s, she does this thing called The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And that just sealed my fate. I was just completely, utterly in love with Miss Christy McNichol at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's definitely goes in line as, someone that had a major crush on. I mean, I didn't have the wall posters, of Christy, but I know that they were out there. I know that she was performing with her brother and, doing things like that, in the late 70s, so all that stuff would have been available, but, I wasn't the one that was, hanging stuff on the wall up until much later when Farrah Fawcett ended up there. I don't know how she ended up on my wall. But, no, I mean, it was Christy McNichol all the way for me.
Nice.
Okay. I have to admit, Dave, I'm Googling her right now because I'm trying to, I can't even name something that she was in. She's just not a name that, like, is on my, I mean, I know the name, I know the face.
Wasn't she in Family?
She was in Family. She played
Buddy.
Buddy.
Saw that. I never saw that. So I'm, like, drawing a blank here. And was she in Golden Girls ever?
Good question. I wasn't a big Golden Girls fan.
That I was a big Golden Girls fan. I feel like she was in Golden Girls, but I really literally can't name any other show that I watched that she was in. But the way you described her, though, and looking at her picture, I'm like, yeah, I could see that, girl next door. Like, chick you want to hang out with kind of a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was this one musical movie thing that she did called the Pirate Movie. So I think that that was kind of her not her best choice for roles. But I mean, she still got to explore the, her musical talent, because she's a singer. And when she gets to blend those worlds, with acting in a movie and then also singing, it seems like that was something she didn't shy away of, from back then. And of course, I just loved whatever it is that she did and touched. So that
cool.
Love is blind.
Love is blind.
All right, so I think we're going around again. Cheryl, who's your next pick?
Okay, so my next pick is someone you guys probably don't even know who this person is. This is going into the late 80s, almost 90s. Sorry, I have to mention, he's from New Kids on the Block. Joey McIntyre.
Oh, Joey
oh my
McIntyre.
God, no,
Nice.
never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Baby
yeah.
Joey, he was such a cutie.
You know him?
God.
Not everyone knows this guy.
Not
If you don't know New Kids on the
personally,
Block, you
but
wouldn't
yeah,
know the
he
name.
was
But
a
you know
very
the name.
integral part of the New Kids on the Block.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he was little Joey. He was the little guy, but I mean, when I was in, I would say 8th grade into 9th grade, I had this group of friends who we all were New Kids on the Block junkies, and each one of us had our own claim to a specific new kid, and few of us would fight over, Joey, to the point where, I mean, it was sick. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and tell the story because I'm anonymous. Nobody knows me, but we would write fantasy stories about these guys. I mean, straight up raunchy fantasy stories. And then we would come to school and we had like our New Kids on the Block like notebooks, with these raunchy stories on them. And then we would swap stories and then we would get to read each other's stories.
My God.
And we always put each other as characters, in the stories. But of course, if I'm writing it, I'm going to pick myself. And if that, I usually wind up with Joey in my story, and then my friends would get jealous. But I wanted to wind up with him this time, Oh, I mean, I wrote a love poem to Joey McIntyre, which my mother found, and was trying hard not to, giggle too hard about that. Professing my love to him and how I'm sure we could be together if only you could just meet me and realize that we're meant to be together.
That's usually how it works.
It's pretty bad. But so this was another individual whose face was plastered all over my walls. This was post Michael J. Fox era, so because those two wouldn't quite mesh well together, I don't think, on the same wall. No. Oh, no. Yeah. No. It's two different eras. Michael J. Fox was mid-'80s, and then, Joey McIntyre is distinctively late 80s going in the 90s. But, so I went to like probably 6 or 7 concerts, had the pillowcase, and as I'm sitting here on my trampoline, I have a pile of VHS tapes, and sitting on the top of it is my Hangin' Tough Live, New Kids on the Block.
Wow.
And here it is. Look at that.
Way to pull it all together. That is awesome.
Do you have a VCR?
I just happen to be sitting here. I do have a working VCR, believe it or not. And I have
we're gonna have a watching party over at your house now.
Oh, we should. It's funny that they're now on tour again as adults.
Yeah.
And they're making
they've got new music too.
Yeah, they're making like a pseudo comeback, I guess, and I haven't seen them yet on their adult tour, but I aspire to. But I have a cousin in California who is now 18, but for all her teenage years, she actually liked New Kids on the Block. Whenever she'd come out here and visit, we'd pop it in the old, VCR, and I'd be out there doing the Hangin' Tough with her. Teaching her the right stuff, and
You can't go wrong with
So I
any
can't
tough
believe-
dance.
You can't, and I still know all the dance moves, and I think she was pretty impressed that that I remembered all that. So that's my number 2, Joey McIntyre.
And by the way, You Got the Right Stuff. Occasionally, I'll put that song up like on my phone on Spotify, and my wife Patty will dance to that.
This is good information for me to know.
Yeah, you should know that.
I would never have pegged Patty for dancing to anything that sounds like New Kids on the Block.
Anything that's non-country, right? So, but yeah, You Got the Right Stuff. That's next time you're together with having fun, then bring that song up.
I most certainly will. Thank you for the information.
She doesn't listen to the show, so I won't get in trouble. So
yeah, she doesn't.
No.
Probably for the best.
Probably. Hearing me give my undying love to Christy McNichols. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah, well,
I won't tell.
Totally won't.
Oh, well, I've said more embarrassing stuff, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Some of it actually involved New Kids on the Block, so yeah.
No, actually, yeah, you're right, because my first concert, grad night 1989, at Cinderella's Castle, New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was your first concert?
Yeah, actually it was. In Florida, after regular park hours, they close it off and they open it up to the graduating seniors that go to high school, throughout the state, and they have various concerts that are throughout the park. And that night, I remember distinctly there was Samantha Fox, there was Information Society. And on the main stage at Cinderella's Castle, New Kids on the Block. And that, they're not all playing at the same time, but you can, go, partake of the rides and then, watch concerts. And I had to convince a group of my friends that, we really need to go check out New Kids on the Block because I knew that's where the girls would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was my move, but ended up enjoying listening to those guys and their dancing theatrics that they do so well.
Yeah, they're good entertainers.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Good dancers.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
But the Joey though. Being the little guy. There were. I don't even know the other names of the guys, but actually Jordan, right?
Donnie, Danny, Jordan. Oh my gosh, I'm missing one. Jonathan. Did I say Jonathan?
Yeah, I said Johnny, Danny.
Jonathan, Danny, Donnie, Jordan, and Joey. There, that's 5.
All right, fair enough. Okay. So, but Jordan, wasn't he kind of the lead guy?
He was the lead guy. Yeah, definitely. And then he had his brother, Jonathan, who I'm pretty sure was coerced to being in that band with him because he's always been the quiet and shy one. I think he had a bout with anxiety in his adult life where he kind of disappeared for a while and then he came back. And then Donnie Wahlberg, obviously, everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg and his brother. Those two. And I think a lot of people forget Mark Wahlberg, where he started, too. He was Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Yeah, he was. He's still very entertaining.
He is,
do you ever watch the show, the Wahlburgers?
I've seen it a couple times. Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny when they all get together.
Yeah, it is. And Donnie is married to Jenny McCarthy, and they live in St. Charles. They live in a suburb of Chicago, which is kind of crazy. I always hear of sightings of those two, in the area. feel like I'm going to run into them one day, and, you know.
Wahlberg sighting.
At a bar or something. Well, hi, Danny. I actually met Donnie and Danny. I forgot to. I got to give an honorable mention to my mother for driving me and my little friends around Woodfield Mall and Oliver Schomburg, you know, trying to find New Kids on the Block whenever they were in town. There were always rumors as to which hotel they were staying at, and my mom got in her minivan and she drove us around, and we'd look for them and we'd look all over it. And one day we found them. They were running out of the Hilton hotel, and we're like, oh my god! You know, got their autograph, and they like took my hand, like kind of let it linger a little before they let go. And
I love it when that happens.
I swear to you, I did not wash my hand for 2 days, and that was very difficult to do because I couldn't wash my hair. I mean, I couldn't really do anything if you're not going to get your hand wet. So, and I was like, this is ridiculous, I'm washing my hand. But yeah, so never met Joey, but I met 2 of them. So,
oh, maybe you'll get to meet Joey.
Thanks to my mom. Maybe one day I'll meet Joey.
Well, they're awesome. I have a similar story about my daughter and her friend. Her friend's mom. We'd went to see Hanson 100 years ago, and here, Lydia's mother, Lorena, bless her heart, I've known her for probably about 35 years, but she's very tenacious. And we drove like all over Seattle looking, you know, so the girls could actually meet them, because it was rumored that they had left the hotel and they were, it was not true.
That's totally what we were doing.
You know, they were still in, and they saw him get out of the bus, and somebody knew where the hotel was, so she was driving like a crazy person all throughout Seattle, and we finally, you know, got to meet them, and we're like waiting there. So the security guard, this is so funny, the security guard goes, now, if no one screams, you'll be able to meet them. I hear one scream, the deal is off.
Oh, wow.
These girls are like looking at each other with their eyes all big. You know, they just want to burst. And it's just like, you know, looking at my little girl, I'm going, it's okay, honey. All right. You can scream in the van. But yeah, so that was like lifelong, you know, dream for both of them. So it was awesome.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. God bless those moms. If you get in the car and pile in on the
you want to meet your hunk? Absolutely.
We're going to go meet your heartthrob, honey. You're going to go right now. I hope I can do that for my daughter one day.
Yeah, you will. You'll be able to. God knows who it'll be, though. Let's hope it's somebody awesome.
Right. Not someone scary.
Right.
You don't hear a lot of dad stories like that.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. It's true. You know, I was just thinking that, like, I don't even know any men who are like, oh, when I was younger, I used to just get in the car and, you know, look for Christy McNichol or whatever.
Right.
It just never happened.
Unless it was sports. Now, you have to admit, sports has a bit of a, you know, tangible.
Yeah, no, you're right there.
Yeah, if you were going to go drive to see, like, whoever started for the Cubbies in 1988 or something like that, it'd be like, oh, yeah, let's go. Time's a-wasting.
Right. Yeah.
But, yeah. That's not going to go take you to see Heartthrob.
No. They're not going to go searching for their heartthrob, probably.
No.
Mm-mm.
All right, so, Rose, next pick to you.
Well, if anyone knows me, they know about me that I am consistent. So, this was a hard one because I had so many crushes, so little time. And it was, I have to say that I was like well into my 20s. I was a single mom in the 80s and newly single mom in the 80s. And I was well into my 20s. And so a lot of times my entertainment came from watching movies after my children went to bed. So I knew there was no way that they would watch anything that I liked intentionally, unless it involved animation or singing or whatever it is that interests kids, back then. But I had several movies that I watched a lot, and that's kind of what I based my crushes selection on, is how many times there was a movie they were in that I watched. And some of them were consistently, like I could quote them verbatim, and some of them were just fond memories. They're starting to become fond memories because I haven't watched them in a while. But one guy showed up quite a bit in a lot of the movies that I saw with other people that I like, and I thought, this is tough because it's kind of like you have to make a choice on who you like better. And I always had to put this person in a category to where if he was like super mean and he was a villain, then he'd be my favorite villain. And that's James Spader. James Spader.
Yeah.
has such an amazing knack for making you utterly terrified of him. Just, why he was never in like horror movies or vampire movies or anything like that. I think he probably called that one and, said, no, I'm not doing that because then, I'd be in, what do they call it when you're pigeonholed? And you're always, you'd be stereotyped. You'd be in like in every vampire movie ever made.
Right.
Then on time. Kind of like Christopher Lee, was always in horror movies, but he actually enjoyed doing that. So kudos for him for being an awesome villain. But James Spader had the quality about him where he could be nice if he wanted, but it was for a reason. And one of my favorite movies that he did solo without any of the other ensemble cast that they always put together. I try to refrain from calling them the Brat Pack because they actually hate that term.
Right.
But it was a movie, a very low budget movie, but it was called Jack's Back. And it was, I don't know if you ever saw it, but he actually played himself. He played his twin. So he had a dual role. And one of the characters, his brother, was a doctor. And he worked in the lower class neighborhoods, and he worked at a free clinic and things like that. Well, he ends up running into some problems, not to any fault of his own. He just kind of PO'd somebody that he worked with, and he ended up getting killed. And his brother, who is, James Spader, he is a shoe salesman across town, and he finds out that something happened, and he finds out that his brother's dead. Now he's going to go and look for who the killer is, and there's a lot of suspense in it. Robert Picardo's in it. I can never remember her name. Why can I never remember her name? I always liked her and stuff, but she wasn't in a lot of things. She was in Short Circuit 2. Cindy Gibb.
Oh, Ali Sheedy,
Cindy
right?
Gibb.
No.
Yeah, well, she was in the first one.
She was in the first one. Okay.
Yeah, she was in. Yeah, so Cindy Gibb.
I don't think I saw Short Circuit 2 then.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch, but it was trying to hold its own up against the original, and sometimes you can't always do that. We found that out a lot in the 80s.
Yeah.
One of the sequels.
One where you're like, well, you were good with the first one. You could have stopped there, so.
Yeah, but they see those dollar signs and off they go. But yeah, so he's in that, and he's it's like a 20th century twist on Jack the Ripper, and it's actually really good. A lot of really good. I think his original music, Red Harvest, is like the theme song. It's not a theme song, but it runs through the beginning of it, and you can hear it towards the end, and it's actually very haunting. And yeah. So he just, whatever he was in, I, was always trying to root for the good guy, and then it'd be like, oh, you're such a naughty boy, behave yourself, and he wouldn't, of course. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you picked him because he's in the same movie as Andrew McCarthy as the villain in Pink.
Yeah, he plays him twice. He plays a villain in that one, and he plays a villain in Less Than Zero. He's like the big coke dealer. And
Right. Oh yeah.
he is a JA from double hockey sticks. Let me tell you, the stuff that he made Robert Downey Jr.'s character do in that movie was just atrocious. He was such a male phallic symbol. But, it's just played it good. And, in real life, you ever see him in any interviews? I just saw him recently on Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He's so funny. He laughs really easy, and he likes to joke around, and he's just, like, totally not even, not even like that. So that's really good to know that, his...
He really is acting.
Yeah, he really is acting. And, yeah, so...
Did you ever see him in The Office?
Yes, I did. As Robert California. Total spaz. Totally loved it. They told me.
I thought he was pretty good.
I never watched it. I couldn't get into it because it was too confusing. And my boss at the time says, you need to watch, because everybody knew, I was getting into the 80s, music girl persona. It started my Twitter in like 2009. And then my boss goes, Rose, I know you don't like watching The Office, but it's got James Spader in it, and he plays their boss, Robert California, and he says he is hysterical. You've got to watch that. I watched one episode and I laughed so hard.
It's really funny. It was such
a
departure for him. It was just so different. And you've never seen him do anything, and you didn't think he could pull off comedy quite like that. But
well, if you watched Mannequin, he did play that slimy, nerdy guy from that other department store that was trying to,
Oh, I didn't even think I realized that was him.
Yeah, he was in it. He was the henchman. He was one of the henchmen for the other guy. Okay. Illustra. There you go, Illustra.
There it
is. Way too much about stuff.
So when he's playing opposite Andrew McCarthy, who are you rooting for then?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. Well, it's
that's she can't even answer.
I can't. It's a tough choice because it's just like it's like a nightmare. It's just like, no, don't stop putting them in movies together. But then they keep doing it. So I can't answer that truthfully. It's too hard.
Yeah, there was a movie that he was in that I hadn't seen in forever, but I'd like to revisit it. It's a movie called Tough Turf.
Oh yeah, with Kim Richards.
Yeah.
I really liked her as an actress. I just don't know why she never, branched out and did more stuff. She was a really
Kim Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Is she on that? See, because I don't watch. What do you call it? She was a child actress at one point.
From
she was in
whatchamacallit? The Return to Witch Mountain.
Yeah, that's her.
Is she in that?
Yeah, she's in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She has been for a long time.
Oh my God! See, just to show you my ignorance, I had no idea because I don't watch reality, and I definitely don't like that.
It actually is kind of chronicled her struggles with alcoholism and substance abuse and whatnot. So she's had some rough times, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I agree, she's a good actress.
Yeah, she's adorable too. I used to love her long hair. Like, how did her hair get so long? Just like all the way down to like past her height. So.
All right, so then that was... You both did your second pick, so this is my second pick.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to go off script a little bit, and I'm not actually going to be sharing a story about Hollywood person. So this is somebody you're not going to know at all. But personal life, Dave wasn't quite the stud muffin that you see today.
Get out.
Yeah, I know. It's surprising.
No, really, get out. No.
Yeah, I know. But being the guy that I was, in high school, my high school career, very introverted, nerdy kind of guy. And so much so that I had absolutely no game whatsoever with, even having a decent dialogue with, a girl that I was interested in. And somewhere in my sophomore year of high school, I decided that I was going to get a job working at the local grocery store. And growing up in Florida, that was Publix. So for those that lived in the South, you realize that there was this chain. Their slogan was "Where shopping is a pleasure." And the girl that I had a major crush on in high school, I was in pre-algebra class with her, a girl named Lisa, and I get this job, and she also works part-time there as a cashier. And back in the late 80s, they made the cashiers wear these very horrible green, it's like some sort of, not even spandex, but I don't know, it wasn't that, but it was like just a horrible material. But for some reason, she looked very cute in it. She just made the outfit so adorable. But it's like one of those things where it's like I never had the gumption to even ask her out or really talk to her at length, except for when we were at work. So we kind of had this kind of work relationship going, but we really didn't talk to each other too much in class, even though, of course I wanted to, but I never really did. Fast forward, senior prom. Once again, nerdy Dave doesn't, have the game to even ask a girl to prom. So I'm there hanging out at the table with a lot of us that are co-workers at Publix. And she doesn't have a date either. And so during senior prom, she says to me that, that we end up, doing, dancing together, but she doesn't want to do any fast dances. So just slow dances. Who am I to complain?
You'll take what you can get.
So for my senior year of high school, I had this, or actually leading up into the senior year, I had this ongoing crush on her that she never knew about, but it culminated in the event that was the senior prom, where I got to slow dance with Lisa every slow song that came on that evening, which was just awesome to me.
That is nice.
So even though you guys won't know who Lisa is, but I just felt that was a fun story in the life of Dave.
Wow! You ever look her up on Facebook?
I on occasion I'll do a Facebook search just to see if she's out there, and I've yet to find her.
Lisa, where are you?
Where are you, Lisa?
Call Dave.
Immediately.
Just kidding, Patty.
Imperative.
Well, that's a cool story.
Thanks.
This is a very cool story, Dave. You're awesome.
I have my moments. All right, so I guess looking back to your guys' senior proms, did you get asked out?
Wow, you're going into a whole other topic now.
It doesn't have to be a long story. Just, Is that what happened? Did you go with somebody that was significant to you, or was it just casual?
I was in a kind of serious high school relationship for actually multiple years, and so I went with this individual to both of my proms, junior and senior.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had my guy, so I didn't really have to worry too much about it.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Russ?
Well, I wish my story was short. I'll try to be short. I graduated in the 70s and the height of the disco scene. And Saturday Night Fever was like everywhere. And we had, that was our theme, Saturday Night Fever. They had a band to come in and play all the disco hits, but mainly all the hits off of the album for the movie. And I was so into dancing at the time. I really loved the moves the disco music had. And it started with the Hustle back in 1976, and then I was pretty much hooked. But I hung out with a group of people that were various ages in high school. Some were juniors, some were freshmen, some were seniors. And I asked a friend of mine, Cedric, I said, well, I really want to go to the prom. And my guardian at the time said that if I found somebody to go to the prom with, because they wanted me to go to the prom too, they would pay for the other person's ticket. So me and my friend Cedric went and had a great time. Danced to every song. Oh, it's amazing. Of course, every time a song plays, like, oh, this is my song. And we'd get up, we're sitting there having like roast beef and mashed potatoes and all this stuff, and corks would drop, and off we go on the dance floor. And of course, he had to ruin it by telling me he wanted to go out, but it was like wasn't supposed to be that kind of day. It was a friend day. This is not a mushy day.
Friend zone.
Yeah, you're in the friend zone. I didn't know what that was back then. But yeah, I tried to be like super nice about it, and we ended up hanging out for a while, and then Monday came, and I was like, really can't do that. But we'll always have Saturday Night Fever.
Always have Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm jealous that you went to prom during the era of Saturday Night Fever. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's going to segue into my number 3 guy, actually.
Sweet. I love it when that happens.
We're there, Cheryl. Go ahead. Give it to us.
We are so there.
All right. That was the greatest segue of all. Number 3 for me is John Travolta, who I know is more of a 70s heartthrob, but I would say, for me, growing up in the 80s, that most girls my age swooned over Danny Zuko in Grease. So, I mean...
A lot of people did, and Staying Alive.
And Staying Alive.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, if I saw Grease once, I saw it 500 times.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was kind of a big fan, and Danny Zuko was just so hot with his black leather coat and Grease lightning, the way he could move his body. I've always liked a man who can dance, and I think it started with Danny Zuko.
Yeah.
Because I'm still that way. Love a man who can dance, move his hips, and sing.
A lot of them won't. They won't. A lot of them won't dance. Crazy.
And his voice wasn't anything to brag about, but he tried. It was cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
he kind of makes fun of himself when he sang.
I got chills. They're multiplying.
Yeah. You're losing control.
Yeah.
Funny.
Oh. When he sang that
pick.
Sandy. When he sang Sandy at the drive-in.
Yeah.
She broke his heart. Randy. I would never have left him. I would never have done that.
No.
No. I would have stayed in that car.
Mm-hmm.
She broke his heart.
That's a nice car.
Yeah. He said he was sorry for dancing with Cha-Cha. I mean, what more does she want?
So now, Grease is 78, so I don't know if there's like, if we need to devote more energy to like, Two of a Kind and Staying Alive, Urban Cowboy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, Two of a Kind. How many people even know of that movie besides 3 of us? Honestly, anyone listening right now, does anyone even know what that movie is?
You'd be surprised. We've got some pretty brainy listeners out there.
That was quite a film, but that was, he partnered up again with Olivia Newton-John, who was another one of my childhood heroes. And as much as I had a crush on John Travolta, I always secretly hoped that he would marry Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see them paired up again in that movie. The other one, Staying Alive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that one very much growing up. That one I've only seen a handful of times, actually. But funny story, you know who I met in real life? Sonola Hughes. Is that how you say it?
Really?
Met her. Worked with her on a project. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Dave, I don't even know if you know this, but I was in a one-time reality show that she was the host of. It was called How Do I Look or something like that. She was the host, and my friend and I nominated one of our coworkers for a makeover, and we got accepted on the show. So we flew out there to LA and filmed it for a week with her.
Oh, I did not know that.
And when I met her, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, what was it like to work with John Travolta? She's like, oh, he's very nice man.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's my third pick.
All right, so Mr. John Travolta. All right, cool. Rose, you're next.
Well, my last pick is he wasn't a heartthrob, so to speak, and whereas he was in quite a few movies with other main characters, he didn't really get his just dessert, so to speak, until the 21st century, I suppose. When he was paired along with Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men. John Cryer, to me, has always been a really interesting person. When I thought Ducky, his characters are always somebody that you're going to remember, because that's the kind of actor he is. He's very versatile in a lot of things that he does. One of my favorite movies of all time is called Hiding Out. And anybody that's listened to the podcast is probably going, oh, not that thing again. And there's a lot of people that haven't seen it,
What is it called, Rose?
Hiding Out.
No, never seen it.
It's him and, let's say, Charlie Coogan, James Coogan. Anyway, and Elizabeth Kitsch. I don't have IMDb open, but so John Cryer plays a stockbroker, and he and 2 friends of his, they've been kind of laundering money, so to speak, but not maliciously. They don't realize that's what they're doing until it's too late, and the federal FBI people get involved, and then one of the friends gets killed because the guy that they were laundering the money for wants him quiet, and then the other friend is in custody. And then while John Cryer's character's in custody, his agent gets killed, and then she's on the run now. He's trying to get away from the hitman, and he ends up going back to his hometown, and he is enrolling himself in his old high school so he can blend in with the rest of the students and hopefully pull off, the weight of a lifetime so he can go and testify in court against this guy. And just all these really weird things started happening. He plays Andrew Morinsky, that's his character, and then his high school character is Max Hauser, which he gets off of a coffee can. There's a can of Maxwell House coffee there, and he's like, and she asks him what his name is, and he says Max, and she's like, your last name? Hauser. Max Hauser.
Sounds like you pulled a Kaiser Wilson.
Yeah, and she's like, where did you go to school? He goes, Cornell High School in Texas. And he goes, records could take weeks. And she's like, everything takes weeks. So, here he is, and he's, like I said, he's literally hiding out. He's living in his cousin's house, and his aunt doesn't even realize he's there. So him and his cousin go to school, and they've got like a good 10-year gap on each other. So his cousin's like quintessential high school teenager. He's worried about girls and acne and how he looks and all this stuff, and he hates his life. And here this guy's being chased by hitmen. He's laundered money for some mob guy. So they kind of have that conversation. It's like, really? This is what you're going to complain about? Yeah, live in my shoes for a day. I dare you. Right. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Gish is, kind of coming on pretty strong, and he likes her. But, of course, we both know he's 27, and she's only, 18 or 17 or whatever. But it's actually really cute. It's a cute movie. And I've seen that movie probably more times than I needed to. But it's just, I don't know. It's really interesting. And that's an amazing soundtrack. Totally amazing soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's got like Katie Lang and Roy Orbison doing their rendition of Crying. And it's got Black Britain in it, and a lot of really good up and coming, but Hue and Cry are in it on the soundtrack. It's just amazing. I'm trying to think who did Catch Me I'm Falling, but that's one of the songs that's portrayed in the movie. They're actually roller skating, and he sucks at roller skating because he probably hasn't roller skated since he was like 10. So, but it's just super cute. You're rooting for him the whole time, but that he's got this past and he's lying to her, and so it all comes to a head eventually. So, but I won't spoil it for you in case you ever want to watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got a little bit. I've got a little bit of a problem for you, Rose.
What?
I ask you to come up with 3 picks, and you give me Blaine, Steph, and Ducky.
Yeah.
Everybody else that's listening, did you catch that?
Is there a theme here?
She regurgitated one movie.
One movie.
Clever, aren't I? Goodness, how did I do
so
that?
Funny.
Really awesome.
Did you realize you had done that, Rose?
Not really, no.
You didn't even realize
I'm really that clueless.
That's so funny.
See, this is why Dave's the overlord. Seriously. He catches stuff like that. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
3 picks, and we get 1 movie.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So true.
But at least you started with somebody that's like, got the same name as a major appliance.
This is true.
Yep. Blaine's not even a real name.
I know.
If I would have thrown in Molly Ringwald as one of my choices, then it would have been perfect.
Oh, it would have been.
Yeah.
That would have rounded up this conversation nicely. You should have.
Yeah.
She's not my third pick, I'm sorry to say.
No,
Yeah.
not totally. I can only guess.
Well, I don't know. Did you have anything on Ducky, Cheryl?
Did I have anything on Ducky? Any comments to make about Ducky?
Yeah.
I don't.
John
I don't
Cryer.
see it. I don't see it with the heartthrob. I mean, I like him as an actor, but I would never, ever peg him as someone I would have a crush on. Maybe because he was always portrayed as the goofball, wacky, quirky guy, and he was, they certainly never built him up to be, I don't think, the heartthrob. But then again, I didn't see all the same movies you saw. I mean, I'm just thinking of pretty much my frame of reference would be Pretty in Pink and what's the TV show he's on?
2.5 Men.
2.5 Men. Thank you. That's my frame of reference for Ducky. So.
And it's Annabeth Gish, not Elizabeth Gish. I wanted to clarify that because I've made a few mistakes on the show on occasion, and I catch them, but it seems like no one ever else does. So I'm correcting myself.
I can only imagine people are listening to our podcast and they're yelling, but then they never tweet to tell us.
You should.
You figure they would, right?
I totally massacred.
Speak up, America.
Yeah.
Does anyone out there like Ducky?
Exactly. I totally massacred the synopsis of Something Wicked This Way Comes. Totally just annihilated that whole. There's people out there who are probably going, "What? What is she talking about? That's not what happened." Because I just recently watched it because I finally was able to get it, and I just recently was like, "Wow, what was I watching?" Because that is not happening in this movie. It just goes to show you, as far back as you've seen something, it's always good to re-reference it before you decide you're going to talk about it. All right, Dave, come on.
All right, so
all right, Dave, don't keep us in suspense any longer. Come on.
Well, my third pick, I'm a little upset with her. Because we should have been together. But she decided that she's going to go and marry some hockey star and have a happily ever after love story with him. But there was an actress in the 80s. Her name was Janet Jones. She was in a few movies like The Flamingo Kid, A Chorus Line. She did this thing called American Anthem. Not necessarily the best pick of a movie for her to be in was Police Academy 5, but I had this thing for Miss Janet Jones. 1987, she actually did a pictorial in Playboy, which just helped play into my
there you go.
My lust for her.
Crush.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I even had a poster of her in the barracks when I was in the United States Navy. She's wearing a bomber jacket. It says "Keep on your toes, Janet Jones." She was all well and good, but then she decides Wayne Gretzky is her man, and marries him, and lives happily ever after. And so I'm a little upset with you, Janet. If you ever listen to this podcast. We could have had something together. I know love was on my side. I don't know, but it should have been, like a group thing. But
the one that got away, Dave.
You have to go for the great one. Come on. Just because he's got
obvious,
bit
right?
Just a little bit of hockey skill, and all of a sudden he steals your heart or something. I don't get it. I was, this young guy, nerdy guy in Florida. We could have been something, but no. You go with your hockey star guy, whatever.
Her loss, Dave. Her loss.
Yeah, thank you,
absolutely.
Janet Jones.
Absolutely.
But no, I mean, the movies that she was in, being what it was. She was the eye candy. But I think, she's a good actress nonetheless, even though a lot of people don't give her the credit for that kind of thing. If you ever watch the movie Flamingo Kid, I think she does well in it. American Anthem, even though it's not, anything Oscar worthy, or even, a major memorable movie of the 80s, it's still fun for what it is. And what she contributes, she's believable as her characters, let alone looking hot. So that's what that definitely rounds out like my my 80s, end of the 80s crush, and that's what she helped provide to me. Besides the poster on the wall, of course.
Yeah, I've never heard of her, but I looked up her picture and she looks very familiar.
Yeah, she's probably, you probably, by name you're like, who? And then like as soon as you look it up and you're like, oh, her. So
yeah.
I liked her in Police Academy.
Police Academy 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, not exactly, when you're doing Police Academy movies, you've got to wonder, are you making the right choices?
Hey, do not knock that franchise. That is a great franchise.
But really, did we really need 6,000 of those movies? Come on.
Where did they wind up? 10 or 11? I don't even know.
They had a perfect formula.
You can't go wrong with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, jeez. I forgot what it was. I think it was a skit on Saturday Night Live that had Will Ferrell in it. It was called Morning Latte. And they're all sitting around talking about how, there can never be too many Flintstone movies. Keep them coming. Just keep them coming. Pumping them out. That's what you guys just sounded like just now.
Nice.
Okay, so you said Police Academy. I immediately started thinking of Steve Guttenberg. There's a hot throb right there. Steve Guttenberg. Super cute. I had a little crush on him.
A little bit of crush on Guttenberg, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So Short Circuit was doing your thing. It was good for you.
Yes. Right. I liked him in Short Circuit and then Cocoon.
Cocoon, okay.
Yeah, he was good in everything he was. I just never really felt like he was like heartthrob material.
Oh, I thought he was adorable.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
an honorable mention for you?
Yeah, I'll go Guttenberg for an honorable mention.
Nice.
So we are running a tad long. You guys want to throw out your honorable mentions as quick sound bites here?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to finish?
Go ahead, Rose.
No, I was talking about you.
Oh, okay. Honorable mentions would also, besides Steve Guttenberg, include Kirk Cameron.
Sweet.
And Patrick Swayze.
Nice.
And Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
And the Coreys, particularly
Coreys. Oh.
Which one?
Like the Coreys.
Which one did you say particularly, Feldman or Haim?
I would say Haim. Yeah, I think I definitely had a bigger crush on Corey Haim than Corey Feldman. License to Drive, great movie.
Love that movie.
That's a great movie.
Oh God, yeah. Carol Kane was hysterical in that.
She was,
especially towards the end when she was having a baby.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Okay, Rose.
Well, Charlie Sheen.
I thought about him.
Charlie Sheen was in, especially The Wraith. Love that movie. Totally love that movie. I mentioned earlier Michael J. Fox. Big, huge fan of him. crush on one of my favorite episodes of Family Ties is when he's dancing at the prom, and she breaks up with him.
Yeah.
And
with Ellen, with Tracy Pollan.
Yeah, and Billy.
And that
Peters.
song was playing. Billy
Yes.
Beater.
Oh
Bear,
God.
what is it? Billy Bear and the Beaters. Oh, it's a great
Uh-huh.
song. It was a great TV moment. I'm so with you.
Yeah, just really just sticks to your mind.
Yes.
Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, mainly for
Mm-hmm.
Rocky, Rambo, and Cobra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
then finish it up with Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Definitely.
agree with Rob Lowe too. And Rob Lowe was recently roasted, and Ralph Macchio helped
Really?
roast him.
Yeah, I
That's
saw that.
awesome.
Yeah, I did see
Because
that.
he wrote a book, Rob Lowe did, called Stories I Only Tell My Friends, and he talks
really?
at length about filming The Outsiders and the camaraderie that everybody had on set, and how he kind of like took the younger ones like under his wing, so to speak, and he just made it seem like, standing in the rain for the 17th time shooting the fight scene in the park. You're kind of going, oh my God, and these people are just having a blast, because there's just like he said they're like loopy at this point. They'd been out there for so long, and for some reason it wasn't. I think it was him. It was like when he runs out there and did the big speech and everything, and he was kept messing it up. But yeah,
now that is a movie that I was not allowed to watch when I was a kid.
Really?
What year did it come out?
I want to say what, 84? Don't know.
84.
Sounds right.
So I was
Lifetime,
probably 9. I was like 9 years old, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. But then I kind of wound up seeing it at a friend's house. This one friend who I always saw all the movies at her house. Nobody knew. We could just watch whatever we wanted over there, and it disturbed me. Like, I remember that the whole ending, all the crazy stuff that happened. Like, I remember feeling like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And I think as a child, it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
It was pretty deep. It was definitely heavy, very deep.
I wish I hadn't seen it.
Yeah. Well, you can't unsee it. So, yeah, it was just quite a bit of turmoil. And, Matt Dillon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it was real.
Right.
It wasn't, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy finds girl, the end kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was life.
I just had never seen
stuff.
a real life drama unfold like that. It was so real.
Yeah,
It was
and everybody was
oh.
in it. Patrick Swayze and Ralph Macchio
Yeah.
and
You're
Emilio
right,
Estevez,
yeah.
Matt Dillon.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was great.
We actually just watched that movie like 2-3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we were trying to do is find a movie to watch together, and my 15-year-old daughter pulls The Outsiders out of her hat, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going on Outsiders. We're doing this. So just got to watch it again, and just the classic line, "We're gonna do it for Johnny, man." I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay gold, Pony Boy.
Stay gold.
Yeah.
Very sad at the end. It's okay. I only
Okay.
cried for a few minutes tops.
Sweet.
All right, so I didn't have a list of honorable mentions, but I just want to bring up Penny Baker. For those of you that may have listened to one of our other collaboration podcasts, we were talking about 80's Christmas, the first Playboy that I received in the 80s, and the playmate was Penny Baker. Google her, you'll understand. Anyway.
Okay.
Won't happen.
that goes back to that goes back to that ample conversation. But anyway,
Ample personality?
Exactly.
Yes,
I'm sure
ample.
she had a great personality. At least that's what I could probably read on that little write-up they do. You know, her likes, dislikes, and all that kind of stuff. So that is our 80s crushes discussion. So that is part of our the collaboration that we talked about at the beginning of this whole discussion with the 80s League. Once again, we invite you to check out the participants in that overall collaboration. Their web addresses: rediscoverthe80s.com, weegiemidget.wordpress.com, killerkitsch.wordpress.com, returntotheeighties.wordpress.com, and then ours, of course, is southgatemediagroup.com/80s Reboot blog. As I stated at the beginning of this, all of us are talking about 80s crushes, and we'll have them all linked together. So the same week that you'll be listening to this podcast will be the same week that all of those great blogs and possibly those that have the podcast also that are Return to the 80s and Rediscover the 80s might also have that same kind of content that they're talking about. So it should be a lot of fun to, as we've done this collaboration thing, see the different takes and everybody's views on the same topic, because each time we do this, everybody's got kind of a whole different perspective.
Definitely.
Did we drop Cheryl?
Did we?
We dropped Cheryl.
What happened?
Because she doesn't have a Skype account and I had to call her.
Okay.
My account just got expended.
Oh dear.
Well, no, it's just that I didn't have another credit card lined up into my account, so it dropped her.
Oh dear.
I'll have to let her know that. That's why she got dropped.
She's pinging, I can hear her.
Yep. Yeah, she's just telling me I just got disconnected. That kind of sucks, but I don't have my new credit card handy to add the account information back.
Right.
So, unfortunately, that was a quick drop for her, but if you want to give your social media credentials.
Can I chastise you first?
Sure.
Good, because when I get to Chicago in June, I'm telling Leah Thompson that you left her out of your 80s crushes.
You would not.
I totally would.
That's totally
I
not
would
cool.
so do that. I would
Totally not cool.
Her and Howard the Duck got deleted. Wasn't even mentioned honorably.
Not even an honorable mention to Leia, Miss Amanda Jones.
I will make sure I speak with Andrew first before I go do that.
Well, that's a good idea, because you don't want me to be blowing
In case I'm
that.
not there after that. In case I'm not there anymore after that. Oh.
Good point, though.
Gotcha.
I should have brought up Amanda Jones.
That's okay.
Yeah, good
All
point.
right.
That definitely should have been an honorable mention. Miss Beverly Switzer from Howard the Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm thinking about her.
How did
Thank
you
Appreciate
go on and on?
I could.
About that. No. No.
I'm there
You're
now.
welcome.
You got me thinking about her now. All right.
I'm good.
So, okay. Social media credentials. Go ahead, Rose.
Shut up. Thank you. I'm an 80s Music Girl on Twitter, 80s Music Girl on Facebook, and 80s Music Girl on Instagram.
All right, and I am Dave. I take care of our 80s Reboot account, so that's Twitter at 80s Reboot, 80sreboot.tumblr.com, facebook.com/80s Reboot. We also got that blog that we mentioned a couple times so far, so that's southgatemediagroup.com/80s Reboot blog. Another thing that's very important to us, and Rose, you want to give us the lowdown on what we need these people to do for us?
Yes. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you all so much for the listens that you provide us with. Your ears are very important to us. All the downloads and the streaming and everything that you all do to get your daily dose of 80s Reboot Overdrive. We sincerely appreciate it. However, we're seriously lacking in the review department. So, like I said earlier, if you hear something that I've said or needs correcting, which is probably everything, feel free to drop us a line. Tell us how much you love us. Tell us how much you don't love us. Tell us that you're on board with us and we're rocking the 80s as hard as we can. And if we're not rocking the 80s, make some suggestions because, we're not the only people in the world that know about that wonderful decade. Although sometimes it feels like we are. So leave us a comment, give us some reviews, 5 stars, nothing below 4 stars, and we'll be happy. Thank you, everyone.
So with that, we appreciate everybody reliving the 80s and have a good whatever. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.